The days go by quickly. It'd be about 10 minutes. I'm knocking these out in 10. Sometimes if I go longer, it cuts me and shuts me down. Then that really ticks me off, especially if I thought I did a good one. It says live video is starting, but it's not here yet. Good evening, Tony Dottino. It's already Monday, and it is the March 7th deadline here, March 7th date. And off we go with another weekend and into our next session of the Brain Fitness workshop that I've been watching and being an observer and volunteer. And today started out with a very interesting conversation. One of the gentlemen in the workshop, who happens to be 94 years old, wanted to know what the other attendees have felt about the first 2 weeks of the workshop. So he started a really great conversation about, I'd like to know if I'm the, this is an interesting way of putting it, I'd like to know if I'm the only one that has found this to be really enjoyable and something that I really look forward to. And so it got a conversation going over a word that he chose to use. He said, I really like the exercises in this group that we're doing that impact my brain. And so that opened up a dialogue over, are we talking about brain fitness? Are we talking about mental fitness? Are mental fitness and brain fitness the same? And I'm thinking, wow, now here's a room of seniors having this conversation over the difference between brain and mental fitness. And I hadn't really distinguished it as much before. I sometimes use those terms interchangeably. I'm thinking mental fitness and brain fitness, are they not the same? And one of the participants in it, who's in his 80s, chimed in and said, but the words we use and how we are being described as people is really significant. And I think, you know, when people talk about you have a brain disease or a brain disorder or early cognitive impairment, depending upon how people talk to you about that, either creates a stigma of, gee, what is this? Do I look at this person differently now? Do I kind of shy away from them? Do I kind of look at them as some kind of a defective human being? Do I have empathy? Do I have pity? What do I have? And we've had that conversation in the workshop already a couple of times, this notion about no one should pity me. So just by the words brain fitness versus mental fitness that this one senior started the conversation on, it was an interesting reflection on how the people that are participating in this program are responding to how people label them. And yet what the consensus was is they really are enjoying the brain exercises that are done in the workshop. So now that opens up, well, what brain exercises in the workshop? And so that then got to, well, when we have, it's like Violetta, God, I can't think of the show with Pat Sajak now all of a sudden. Wheel of Fortune. We put blank spots on the whiteboard, and we go around the room and ask each person to give us a letter that belongs in the whiteboard until somebody comes up with what the name is. And they love that exercise because what they're saying is it challenges their brain. And I guess some of them watch Wheel of Fortune and they think that looking at the word, it forces them to go back into their brain and look at letters and then fill in what's missing and come up with an answer of a famous person or an event or a thing of whatever it may be. And so it was humorous because Michael, who's facilitating the workshop, put a 3-letter for the first name and 5 letters for the second name. And this turned out to be one of the most difficult things that they've done in the 2.5 weeks that they've been doing that particular exercise. And they were missing a lot of the letters in it. It turned out the name was Joe Biden. And so that stumped them a little bit. And they found that funny and interesting. And why didn't they think of that? And what were they missing in terms of the letters in Joe Biden's, President Biden's name? So it was interesting to listen to, again, the dialogue, but it's all coming back to they want brain exercises. They didn't say they want mental health exercises. They want more brain exercises. Teach them something about their memories, or how can they, is there a way to improve it? Is there something they can do to help strengthen their brain so whatever their diagnosis has been does not deteriorate any further? That was their primary, and it's interesting to see that with the capabilities and the mental acuities that they have, that's the most important thing that they all want to maintain. Is they want to be able to maintain their functioning, and I was going to use the word cognitive functioning, their brain functions, as they would describe it. They want to be able to use their brain functions. They want to be able to remember people's names. They want to be able to speak in the language that they've been used to speaking, remembering the words that they want to be able to speak in. They want to remember, numbers, right? So if there are certain numbers and things, they want to remember how to give money to somebody and get change back if they're going to a grocery store or such with a relative, their spouse or somebody that takes them grocery shopping. So their memories were key. So what can you teach me? That was the general consensus. What can you teach me that can help me to improve or better my memory? So we go off in this conversation, right? And we think as we're going through our ages, right? Do we ever stop and think about our brain health, our mental fitness, our cognitive fitness? I'm not sure I want to hassle with the word choice anymore, but these folks certainly did. They spent probably a good 10 minutes, and we spent more time at lunch talking about it. And so they seem to, it matters to them. So here's my lesson for you tonight. Are there things we can do at earlier ages that really begin to help us stop any progression or advancement of any brain minimization? I'm a constant believer. I'm working with people that have learned different memory skills and memory techniques that, you know what, they can keep their brain as sharp as they want, depending upon how much time they want to put into it. Do they believe that there's something they can learn that can help them improve their mental brain health and brain fitness? Are they willing to put the time in? Well, I'll tell you, these people are putting the time in, and they're willing to put more time in because their brain health and fitness is extremely important to them. And they want to be able to remember who their loved ones are and be able to talk to their children. And I heard today that we have some great grandchildren that were represented by these people in the room. They want to be able to remember their names, and they want to be able to remember something significant about each of them. And so there are no favorites, as I've learned. There are not favorites when you have great grandchildren. They're all equally important. And so there's a whole list of things that they are coming up with. And I just so enjoy going to this workshop and listening to groups of people that talk about the things that most concern them. And it's almost like, God, these would be fantastic YouTube videos to promote anyone that in the world that's talking about brain training of some sort that's making a difference to people and their mental health, their mental fitness, their brain fitness, cognitive fitness. Anybody that's in that arena today, I wish they could all see this room of people that are just so concerned and worried and being diagnosed with early cognitive impairment and what they go through in their lives and the people that bring them to the session and the people that pick them up and take them. But one thing that is consistent, and as we talked mostly at lunch, these people are loving this workshop. They've been in it now for 2.5 weeks, and they're loving it. They love the numbers thing that we go through. They love the exercising. Right? Exercise is a key important ingredient to this thing. And if any of you have started to look at the elements of brain health, you realize exercise, nutrition, your sleeping, how you handle stress, how you bring mental challenges to your life, so how you engage in social interaction. All of those things are showing up in the dialogue that these people are having and in the teachings that they want to learn. How do I better socially interact and remember people's names? How do I mentally challenge myself? And I want mental challenges. I want to keep my brain strong. All been very rewarding in watching these people go through the first 2.5 weeks of this work. So I will, as I see these highlights and see these different points, I will continue to highlight those in my Live with Tony video. So until Wednesday, have a good week. And Wednesday gets here sometimes faster than we know it. So we'll see you then.